Hey, this is Brilith with Nox Game Studios, and today we're going to continue our series on implementing multiplayer in Unity using Photon and Playfab. In this video, we are going to set up a friend system in our project that uses both of these technologies. We will be using Playfab to store the friends that we've added, as well as we'll be using Photon to connect with these friends inside of the game. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can stay up to date on this series. Now let's head into Unity and start designing the UI. First thing we're going to do is right-click into the hierarchy and go UI, canvas. And this will create two objects in our hierarchy here, the canvas and an event system. Leave both of these. On the canvas, we're going to go to canvas scaler and we're going to do scale with screen size. And I'm going to use the same screen size that I have set up here. So I'll do 1920 by 1080. So this will be HD, and I'll leave the rest of the settings be for now. Let's right click on campus and go to UI and create an image. Call this background. And I'm going to use one of these images that I have in my project called home screen. Let's go to the rect transform and click on this and do Shift and Alt in this bottom right, and that'll stretch it to fit the screen. Right click again, do create empty, and we'll call this friend container. Let's right click on it and go UI, text mesh pro, and we'll call this friend text. Right click on the friend container again, and let's add a empty, and we'll call this add friend. Inside of add friend, we're going to add a couple more UI elements. Go UI input text mesh pro, add friend again, right click, UI, and we're going to do a text mesh pro button. Then under friend container, let's right click again and let's do a UI scroll view. We'll rename that to friends scroll view. In the friend container, let's add a component, a vertical layout group. We're going to make the child scale with the width, the parent. Friend container, let's change that to be 250 width. And we're going to do 350 height. And we're also going to dock this in the bottom right corner. So with Control and Shift, we're going to click on this bottom right. And on the friend container, we can add a background image. Go to our art here, under UI, scroll down and find this gray panel. I'm going to add that as the sprite. Now let's go to the friend text and let's do friends as the text. We're going to center that vertically and horizontally. Now we're going to go to this add friend, and this is the UI element that has a input field and a button in it. We're going to make this have a a horizontal layout group. We're going to force the height, and we'll add a spacing of 5. And then for the friend scroll view, let's expand this and let's delete the scroll bars because I don't want to have that. Now in the content, let's go and create another empty. And this will be a UI friend. So UI friend is what we'll instantiate for each one of the friends on our friends list. So inside of there, we need to create a text mesh pro along with a button that we can use to delete a friend from our friends. Now let's add a component, and it'll be a vertical layout group. And we will force this child's height, and we'll add a spacing of like 10. We may modify this as we go through here. The text, we can just put in a placeholder name. We'll put in Brilith. Now let's set up this so it actually looks a little bit better. Let's start at the top with the friends text. Let's change the font here to this Kenny Future that I have set up. I'm going to change the color to match this eye we have there. So now let's go to add friend again, and we're gonna control the child's width as well. And we're gonna go to the input text field, and we're gonna add a element layout. We're gonna do the mid width and the preferred width. And for now, we're going to say the min is going to be 150. Preferred is 200. Let's go to the button. Let's add another layout element. We're going to do the mid width and the preferred width. We're going to make these 50 and 50. Now that will scale correctly. You can see this is 50 and that will be our 200. Rename this to add button. We'll say friend input. Now let's go into the text here. Go placeholder text. We're going to make this larger and center it. We're also going to say inner name. Go to the actual text. Let's do the same thing. We'll do auto size, center it. We're going to change out the font to be this new font that we have on both of them. So you can see the E's being cut off slightly. So let's switch over to the scene view and zoom in with our rect tool. Let's drag that in just a little bit. We'll drag in the other side pad bed as well. Copy this left, and I'm going to paste it into our text so everything lines up. There we go. This way we don't have any letters being partially cut off. Let's also go to our button here. I'm just going to remove the text from button. So all we're going to do is add a image. And let's use this plus image. Now we zoom out. There we go. You can see the height on this button is actually 100, and we're going to modify that here shortly. Go add friend, and now we have this down to 50. So that looks pretty good. Collapse add friend, and let's go to the friends scroll view. And what we want to modify here is this UI friend to visually, but before we can do that, we need to modify some of the settings in the friend scroll view. So for the scroll rect, we want it to be elastic is fine, but we only want this to be vertically scrolling. So let's uncheck horizontal, and I think everything else looks good here. Back to the UI friend, let's add a horizontal layout, not a vertical. And let's have it control the height, the width for now. Let's go to the text and add a element layout. We'll checkbox both of these. For the min, we'll do 100. For the preferred, we'll do 200. For the button, we'll do the same thing. We'll add a layout element. For the min and width, we'll do 50 and 100. So what we need to do now is go to the content. And what we want to do here is add a vertical layout group. And we're going to force the width. Now you can see that this has expanded correctly. And we'll take away the height for the child force expand. Now if we go here, this is set up to be 100. Let's change that so it's only 50. Let's go to the button. Let's remove the text from it. And let's change the sprite to be an X. We'll use this cross that's white, and then we'll just change the color to be a nice red. We'll go to the UI friend. Let's add an image. Now let's go to the art that we have, and I'm just going to choose this green button here. There we go. We want this to be a little smaller. Let's go here, and we'll just do 50 by 50. And now this is our basic layout here. But what we want to do is add a little bit of padding around the side so these elements are not overlapping the image. I'm just going to do 15 padding, 15 on the right. I'm going to go to the scroll view. I'm going to go to the color, and I'm going to bring that transparency down like 1. I'm also going to go to the UI text, and I'm going to change the color of this to match the eye. We're going to align this so it's in the middle and centered. Looks like our input field, the placeholder, messed up here. Let's look at this. So to fix this, we're going to go here to the auto size options and change the font. And we're going to make it 1 on the placeholder and 1 on the text. Now let's go into the scroll view and let's look at this viewport. And we're going to change this padding from 17 to 0, from this bottom to just 5. So now that'll expand out the way we want it. Feel free to make any modifications to the UI as you want. However, this is what we're going to use. Now let's take the UI friend and let's make a prefab of it. In our project, let's go down to projects and let's create a folder called prefabs. For now, we'll just drag in UI friend. And we'll just hide this. Now let's save and let's look at it in the game view. So now that we finished setting up our UI, let's move on to actually updating it through code. If this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Please join our Discord if you have any questions or requests for additional videos. There will be a link in the description below, along with some additional resources you can look at. Hope you have a good one, and as always, thank you for watching.